Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's your time to EdUp on the EdUp Experience podcast, where we make education your business. Dr. Joe Sallustio back with you here on another episode of EdUp in Raleigh, North Carolina. I am here at the Element451
Engage
Summit and Market Hall, a beautiful venue, and I'm talking to amazing marketing, enrollment, brand professionals, technology professionals, all within the Element451 ecosystem. And I've got another amazing person with me today. I'm going to bring her in right now. Ladies and gentlemen, she's Kristina Fowler. She's the Director of Marketing and Brand Experience at RIT. What's up, Kristina? How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Joe.
The Rochester Institute of Technology. This is a big deal, RIT. I mean, I grew up in Syracuse, New York. I'd always hear about RIT. Tell us about RIT a little bit. Who you serve? How big is RIT? Where exactly are you located?
Yeah, so RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology, is in Rochester, New York.
Who knew?
Bullseye.
And we are primarily an undergraduate institution, and our unique expertise is really where technology, the arts, and design intersect. Engineering, computer sciences. It's really most of our program areas and academic departments are real laboratories for innovation and research as well. In my role, I actually work for RIT Certified. So we are part of Rochester Institute of Technology. We are the professional training and workforce development division of RIT.
The professional say it again, professional
training and workforce development.
This is kind of a big deal these days, is it not? Workforce training and it's certs and credentials, and some college no credential, and whether people want to go back for higher education. Does it still have value? Does it not have value? Sounds like you're right in the middle of all that.
And it's really thrilling. We're also a startup. We launched a year ago, so I would say we're still in startup mode. So we really are. We're at the intersection, truly, of what's happening in the shifting landscape and what's happening in the economy. And as you said, you mentioned some college, no degree. Did you know that that's the fastest growing audience right now?
Oh, I did know that.
100%.
And what's very interesting about this group of people, of course, mostly adult learners, is that they have to be served in different ways than your traditional student. And sometimes you have to think like a startup and so we're back to the whole idea of a startup. How does this happen? RIT certified. What is it a separate division that they fund and they say, look, leave all the bureaucracy of higher ed behind you and go set something up that's going to serve these students? How does that happen?
Well, the leadership at RIT is they are visionary, and they saw what was happening. That we all talk about the demographic cliff, right? That is upon us. And so RIT did not set out initially to start this division. They brought in a consultant to look at our graduate online programs. So I was previously with RIT Online, doing marketing. And to offset that undergraduate demographic cliff, they wanted a consultant to come in and look at how can we optimize, enrich, grow grad programs, but particularly online, looking for that adult audience. And so we brought in Dennis DiLorenzo, who is a premier expert. He was dean of NYU's School of Professional Studies for over 20 years.
Wow.
And he now is one of the foremost experts in workforce development and professional education. So he came in and after a several month thorough discovery inside the institution and, the surrounding, particularly our regional economy, which includes your hometown, Syracuse.
The Cuse. Okay.
he, in conversations with RIT leadership, they really recognized, that the opportunity wasn't as great necessarily in focusing on the graduate online, the for credit, but really in this non-credit professional arena where there's such a dearth.
Yeah.
The talent gap that employers are experiencing is very real. Their recruitment pipeline is, at an all-time,
Yeah.
having an all-time low in terms of challenges. So, and thanks to RIT's really innovative, visionary leadership, they had an appetite and they saw the future here, and it really harkens back to RIT's roots, which started out as really like a vocational school serving local employers. So it's kind of a full circle evolution.
Wow. So with the grad programs, did you say we're not doing any grad, or do you include graduate programs in RIT certified? And if so, how are they different than where you started from, right? Because that's a big question for colleges is we offer grad programs. What are we supposed to do with these? They're in decline. How do we offer them on a different type of calendar, a different with more entry points, with skills stacking or how did it come out?
All of the above. It's like you work with us in our RIT
Execute
certified.
Order 66.
That's what we do. That's what I do. I just execute orders.
And I think I would add to that applied, all applied learning, because as much as grad programs say they're applied, and they certainly are applied, there's always a healthy dose of theory.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's more faculty driven than industry driven in terms of where the demand and skills are and where the growth and skills are. So and to answer your question, yes, we will be taking on select graduate degrees, and I won't even say online, because all of the learning experiences that we create, whether they're non-credit or credit, are kind of modality agnostic. It's really what the topic area and the audience demands.
So you're basically making your product relevant for the student who is telling you, this is what I need. And that's where higher ed can do a little bit better of a job sometimes, is to say, this is how we're going to make it work for the student, rather than this is what we have and the student can pick whether they want to do it or not. What about brand? Where does brand sit in all of this? And the reason I ask is because marketing's in a funny space in higher ed. We know that there's a demographic cliff coming. We know marketing is like half of the solution. You have to have relevant product, but you also have to communicate that it exists. We know marketing is typically underfunded in higher ed, but you have to fund marketing if you want to tell people about your product. This is a really funny spot we're in. What's your role when it comes to brand and communicating that value proposition to the student?
Well, I will say that Dennis DiLorenzo is a visionary and worked with university leadership to come up with a 5-year strategic and financial plan, and we are very supported from a marketing and brand standpoint. Because
amazing,
it is. I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky. Certainly we have to show return on investment, which so far we have.
But you have a ramp up. You have a ramp up period, right, to pull it off the ground, to really start it up, to mature it. Yes. And then you have the ability to I guess, launch off the RIT brand in general, but also to create a sub brand. You have to create a sub brand, right?
Exactly. And it's a fine line, because the RIT brand is credible and well respected, has a great reputation. So what we've been doing is really exploring, where does that brand carry value and where is there not as much RIT mothership, the university central brand awareness. We've been doing some experimentation off the university's overall brand standards, nothing too crazy.
Not yet.
But, our goal is to certainly align ourselves with all that RIT is valued for and known for, while also not coming across that we're an undergraduate degree.
Right. So what are you doing here at Element 451 besides the obvious? But what do you hope to learn as a part of being here about higher education, about how you, what technology for RIT certified, how you communicate to students? Tell me a little bit about what you're hoping to take away from the next couple of days.
Yeah, Element is a great partner to us. Artis is a visionary, great partner to us. And, when I say we launched a year ago in June, the previous 12 months were spent selecting our tech stack and lifting up our platforms and systems and, developing our strategic plan, et cetera. And
not easy work, by the way. That's all very hard work. It's very tedious to get through all those vendors and figure out your tech stack. You want to be driven crazy sometimes, but when you come out the other end and you have good selections, it propels you forward, right? I mean, it really launches you when you put those partners together and you feel like you've got the right stack. Then anything's possible. It's just about making it work.
Absolutely. And again, the Element team and Artis are such great partners in helping us connect the stacks, connect the dots between the platforms and not just siloing, so that we can truly integrate all our data in one place to make the best decisions and to ultimately deliver the best customer, learner, student experience.
Your title, Director of Marketing and Brand Experience. As somebody, this is the EdUp Experience podcast. I have a lot of affinity for the word experience because it implies more than a transaction. I'm selling something, you buy it. It's implying that there is something beyond that, whether it's the emotions or it's the output, the consequence. It comes with something. What does that mean when you say marketing and brand experience? What is the difference between brand and brand experience in your expert opinion?
Yeah, that's a great question. And how I look at it is, well, I have my area, marketing and brand experience, really my interest. I'm a stakeholder and a constituent in our learning team, because when a student is in our learning management system learning, that's a brand experience.
Right.
When they're inquiring and our student support team is working with them, that's a brand experience. So really, when they're interacting with our website and with our CRM and landing pages through the awesome Element platform, that's a brand experience. So, people think that it's just colors and typography and pictures, but it's really this probably sounds cliche, particularly being at this conference, but it's in the entire customer journey and experience.
Yes!
And so,
I agree. And you think about what we have to do as marketers in higher ed. We have to get it right every single interaction. And then there's a dependency, because as much as people don't want to admit it, every interaction is marketing and sales. Every single interaction between faculty and student, between student and administrator and faculty. Every interaction is marketing and sales. If we have one moment with that student, and it could be somebody that doesn't think they're in marketing or sales, that doesn't deliver on that brand promise, that student leaves the brand. They leave that loyalty. And we're seeing that happen all around us, by the way, of all different types of products, how something can lead to a brand shift. And so we have to be really careful in higher ed that we're always delivering. How do you make sure that message is delivered, especially in a startup?
Yeah, that's a fine line too, because we can't, be everywhere. What's that movie that recently came out? We can't do everything and be everywhere all at once.
I don't think so.
That's for sure.
And, we don't want to be control freaks. So I think it really is about onboarding and just making evangelists and believers of everyone that we work with, whether they're adjunct faculty or student workers who are helping us. and as a startup, we were much leaner a year ago. Our team is growing, but we're still pretty lean and mean. So what I found so far, though, is people believe in our mission and believe what we're doing, to the extent that we have more outreach from faculty in the university saying they want to do something with RIT certified than we even have the capacity to act on right now.
That's a good compliment, right?
It's an exciting time. It's a good compliment. I think people just understand this. This is where the opportunity is, and beyond an opportunity, it really is a mission focus of our work, in addition to the professional training, which I think of as the retail side, but the kind of grant and funded driven workforce development work, which we're very committed to as well, particularly in our region.
Well, and you know as well as I do, probably better, that these programs that you're offering and RIT certified, the idea is that, okay, I could be I could be a student who has an undergraduate degree. I want to come back. I want to get some kind of a certification. I'm only willing to put in a couple of months or maybe 6 months. I don't want to go for 2 years right now, but that doesn't mean that I don't want to go for 2 years later.
That's right.
And when I think about going and getting my master's degree, RIT wants me, the student, to think about RIT. Oh yeah, I went there for my non-credit credential or credit credential. Maybe I can transfer that credit, but I want to go there. And it creates brand loyalty, which higher ed, and I've said this on this podcast like a million times, higher ed is really horrible about brand loyalty, right? I'm staying at a Marriott. I always use Marriott as an example. I only stay at Marriott's because I've stayed at Marriott's for years. I got the titanium this and the vibranium that. I went to 3 universities, one for my undergrad, one for my master's, one for my doctoral. That's really common in higher ed, that people go to 2 or 3 or 4 different universities, that they don't go back to the same one, even though those programs might be available. It's because we're starting to get better about how to develop brand and brand loyalty in higher ed. Don't you think?
I do think, and when you were talking, it also made me think of the great privilege we've been given by RIT and the trust that has been extended to us, because we are an extension of their brand. And we've done a lot of good work collaborating and communicating with, particularly the undergraduate enrollment management team, to build that trust and exemplify that we're all RIT. We're just talking to different audiences at different times, but as you said, they can overlap. If we're doing things right, they will overlap.
And sometimes internally, when you build different units, those units can be looked on internally as competitors to already existing units. And you have to build that trust and realize that, wait a minute, if I don't get the karma exists, and if I don't get the lead, I don't get that student now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to have that student later. Do we want that student now, or do we want to send them to another university? Because then I'm not going to get the student later. So I want to share. I need to use our resources to create a larger pipeline. But that's part of change management in higher ed, is make everybody realize that we're all one team, even though we're business units within a team.
Yes. And, while I don't want to speak for Dennis DeLorenzo, he has said the reason, so he started out as a consultant. He's now the executive director of RIT Certified.
Wow.
And he is our leader. And he came to RIT because he felt that willingness to make that sea change, which is really what you're talking about across the university.
What do you think you're going to take away from this conference? What do you want to go home with that says this was a successful Engage Summit?
I know we'll take away inspiration, and just even, we're halfway through day 1, and I'm just really, sometimes we're so busy and overwhelmed and putting out fires and creating new campaigns and, minding what's happening in the student support team and the learning experience team. But just kind of taking a breath and coming back to, it's really all about every interaction with the student.
That's
and
right.
It's really as simple as that. So that's those are nuggets of inspiration that I will take away, but also my team member, our marketing coordinator, Kat DeLoss, is with me as well. We hope to dig deeper into our skills with Element's capabilities for behavioral, I hate to even say targeting, but just to send people at RIT Certified, we're all about finding people where they're at in their professional journey. So when we find them and they come across us, we want to be able to give them the most relevant, personalized piece of information that will help improve their lives, and then stay in touch with them, because we know this is not the funnel of traditional undergrad. It's
Right.
more of an ecosystem of
Flywheel.
learning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and earning throughout a life cycle. People will come in and out of learning as they need it for job transitions. So Element is what helps us be there when they need us at the right time in the right place. And so that's what I plan to take away from this conference, is more innovative ways for us to do that.
Well, you heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, I want one funny note that you had, not funny, but you were talking about targeting. In higher ed, we always like to really dumb down the words, the marketing words and the sales words, because there are people within our ecosystem in higher education that don't think, well, that targeting is a bad word, or consumer is a bad word. Well, no. I mean, targeting is exactly what you do in marketing. You target an audience. It doesn't mean that you're going to throw darts at them. It means that you're just developing a fence around them, if it were to throw them messaging. So we have to say exactly what it is that we do, because the students are expecting to be treated as consumers these days. And I know that my guest today is at the forefront of doing the work that we're talking about. I would keep an eye on RIT Certified. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest today, your guest today, she's Kristina Faller. She is the Director of Marketing and Brand Experience at RIT Certified. Did you have a good time in the podcast today?
I had a blast. It flew by.
Oh.
Thank you so much. I could talk to you all day.
Oh, I will be here all day. So you're welcome to come back anytime. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just EdUp'd.